It's 3 a.m. The world is silent. But your mind sends single quotes. Your body is begging for sleep. Your eyes burn. Your head feels heavy, and yet your thoughts keep racing like they've just woken up. You turn in bed again and again. Pillow flipped. Blanket adjusted. Position changed, but nothing changes inside. Your head, because this isn't about comfort. It's about noise. Mental noise at 3 a.m. Everything you avoided during the day comes back to visit the mistake you made, the message you regret sending, the opportunity you missed, the version of you that you think you should have been by now, and suddenly your brain starts replaying memories like a cruel highlight reel. Not the wins, not the good moments, only the awkward ones, the painful ones, the embarrassing ones, moments that everyone else forgot, but your mind refuses to release. At 3 a.m., your brain becomes a storyteller, but not a kind one. It tells you that you're behind, that you're wasting time, that you're not doing enough, that everyone else is moving forward, while you're stuck. And the worst part, it feels convincing, because when the world is quiet, your fears finally get a microphone. During the day, you're protected by distraction, notifications, deadlines, scrolling, conversations, noise, but at night, there is nowhere to hide, no dopamine hits, no messages, no stimulation, only you, and the voice inside your head. And that voice doesn't whisper, it screams. What if I fail? What if I never succeed? What if nothing changes? What if this is it? Your heart starts beating faster, not because something is happening, but because your brain acts like something is about to. This is the trap of the night. At 3 a.m., your mind stops living in reality and starts living in imagination. It creates problems that don't exist, disasters that haven't happened, failures that are only fiction, but your body doesn't know the difference. To your nervous system, a thought can feel like a threat, so your chest tightens, your breathing changes, your muscles tense, and sleep becomes impossible, not because you're not tired, but because your brain thinks you're in danger. Overthinking at 3 a.m. feels like thinking deeply, but it isn't. Its repetition loops the same thoughts, circling endlessly without resolution. You're not solving anything, you're rehearsing fear. Your brain keeps searching for certainty. In a world where certainty doesn't exist, and every unanswered question feeds the storm, most people think, I can't sleep because I think too much. But the truth is, you can't sleep because you believe every thought. You treat each worry like a fact, each fear like a prophecy, each doubt like evidence. But thoughts are not truth. Thoughts are just mental events, passing clouds, not the sky. Yet at 3 a.m., they feel permanent, heavy, overwhelming, because exhaustion weakens perspective. Everything feels bigger at night. Problems feel darker. Regrets feel deeper. Fears feel louder. What feels like a life crisis at 3 a.m. often feels manageable at 10 a.m. But in the darkness, your brain forgets that it convinces you. You need to figure this out right now. You need answers. You need clarity, so you stay awake, trying to solve your entire life on 3 hours of sleep and a tired mind. And of course, nothing gets solved, because clarity never comes from panic. Peace never comes from force. Sleep never comes from struggle. The harder you try to sleep, the more awake you feel. Because sleep is not something you chase, it's something you allow. But allowance requires calm, and calm requires control, not control of the world, not control of circumstances, but control of attention. A trained mind knows not every thought deserves engagement, not every worry deserves energy, not every fear deserves belief, but an untrained mind grabs every thought like it's urgent, important, critical, and that's why, night after night, 3 a.m. finds you awake, because you're broken, not because you're weak, not because you're incapable of rest, but because your mind has never been taught how to let go. Silence is a skill. Stillness is a skill. Mental peace is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. You don't need a different brain. You need a different relationship with your thoughts. Instead of fighting them, observe them. Instead of believing them, question them. Instead of drowning in them, detach from them, because a thought only has power when you give it attention, and attention is something you can reclaim. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them, and once you understand that, something changes. The storm loses strength. The noise loses authority. The mind loses its grip, and slowly, night stops being a battlefield, sleep stops being a struggle, and 3 a.m. stops being your enemy, because the real problem was never insomnia. It was identification, attachment, lack of control. But control can be built, peace can be practiced, stillness can be learned, and once it is, your nights transform, your rest returns, your mind quiets, not because life became perfect, but because your mind became stronger, because the loudest battles were never outside, they were always inside your head at 3 a.m.